One just quick email I got, I thought was a pretty good idea, is a student was talking about being overwhelmed. And they're one of those students that they're kind of like a checklist student, but they're more of a not OCD, but really want to cover everything, and they want to get everything understood, everything read. And so, say you open up your textbook, it's limited. You can just read it, you're done, and you're over, and that's a lot of reading in itself. So, and then they see other things, and they say, well, this is a suggested reading link, and this one's over here, and hey, I was reading this in the library, and I saw these 20 articles, and I'm like, oh my God, there's just no way to read it all. And everyone talks about that, like, well, as a doctor, you got to, I don't know everything. I mean, all I know is when I got my degree, I learned how much I don't know. And at first, I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get all this knowledge. I'm gonna be so smart." And then I realized, man, I'm pretty stupid. I don't understand all this stuff. I mean, there is so much out there. So I only understand not even 1% of what's going on, and I probably forgot more than I ever learned, to be honest. So I don't. What I try to tell students is, look, when you're going through your school, you got so much work to do. Focus on that. If you're going to do a checklist, okay, take your pencil, make a list. I got to do these assignments this week. Check, 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 check. Don't check the work itself like I did this paragraph, I did this sentence. Don't do those things, but checklist it that way. That makes sense. But one suggestion I really like to give out is, okay, like I do this, and I use Amazon.com because I was a manager there, and I really enjoy that. But I can make a list of books, for example, and I read a book, and then I open it up and I go, wait, that's a good author. Or I look at the bibliography or references and I go, man, these are really good books. And so I've done that with different readings and different topics, and before you know it, you got like 100 books, and you're like, man, I'm never gonna get through this, and that's okay. What I do is I just make a list, and I have time, to read books here and there, and sometimes I'll read some like Bradbury or Ray Bradbury, or maybe even some other different types of fictional books, and then I try to bring in other things I enjoy reading and other more historical topics or leadership topics, but I make a list. And so when you're in school, get a file on your computer or old school notebook and say, okay, look, I read about this topic about government or business leadership, and I want to later read this book about that. Write it down. And then when you're done with your school, or if you're at a winter break or something like that, you may come back and say, no, that's just not important anymore. Or you may say, that's really something I do want to read. And then over the years, you're going to find a pattern. What type of books do you like reading, or what type of things you like researching? And then you become an expert at it. I always jokingly talk about the ancient alien people. These are people who really, most of them are not doctors, they're not really overly educated, but they've like in a sense of formal education. But if you ever look, they write some pretty good books, and they become experts at what they do. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to go do aliens and figure all that out, but I'm saying is go find a topic that you really enjoy. And if you make a list of things you study as you go through school, you're probably going to find that pattern, and that's what's important. And then you can make a hobby into an expertise at some point if you really want to go far enough with it. Or at least you're reading what you enjoy. I had an old English professor in Heidelberg American High School, Mr. Moore, and he would always say, I don't care what you read. Go read Playboy. And that's probably because his wife was a playmate. But that's not the point. The point being is he was he always liked to pretend like he was like a mafia don. And he would smoke and drink coffee. Those were the cool days of school. But he would tell you, just go read anything. It doesn't matter what. Just go read something. And then once you find the reading and enjoy it, you'll find passions in what you want. So I always thought Mr. Moore was pretty spot on with that. So just a suggestion, just an idea. It doesn't mean, you can look at my shelf here. I got books that are upright, means I've read them. Ones that are sideways mean I have to read them. And you can count that I probably have about 30 books in different locations I have to read, not counting the Amazon list, okay? So having said that, best of luck, and I hope the weekend comes up great for you. Thanks.